Hi guys, it's Natalie here. United WFC. We're going to be talking about why I love the women's football, but mental health edition. So how we feel. I suppose now we're sort of going back. It's imminent, really now, isn't it, for a lot of us? Deb, introduce yourself. Tell people about you. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Nice to see you. Thanks for inviting me on that. Yeah, Deborah. Look, I guess I'm here for a number of reasons. One is I actually do work in mental health, so I've kind of got that side of things. But also been working as acting chair of the supporters club. So obviously had a lot of contact with you guys and some of the people that are watching, I dare say. But also tapping into the way things have gone the last 18 months, looking after some of the members, being aware of what's going on for people. And I'm a red. I'm a home and away red, men and women. So for me, it's been a really challenging last 18 months, not being able to go to many games. Have been to a few recently, so that's been a relief. But ready to get back properly, week in, week out, losing my weekend. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, fantastic. Everyone in the comments, I see you there, and I'm going to get to a few of you, and just drop the like on the video so more people can find out. Chloe, great to be back. Obviously, you were on the last show where we just talked about women's football in general, but how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's nice to be back. I enjoyed it last week, so thank you for the invite back. And yeah, again, just echo what Deb said, read through and through, and I think this is an important topic to talk about, so glad to be on it.
No worries. And obviously, Zoe, back again as you're on the last one, and I'm here now, and I really appreciate you coming on and wanting to talk.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and thank you for having me. I guess I'm here because I've always said about how as a group everyone has helped me with my confidence and my mental health. So yeah, it's great to be able to discuss it together.
No, 100%. And yeah, it's great to all be together, because I think it's something that we just discussed then. We've not been together as a group for a while, and we've seen each other on a Zoom, or you've seen pictures of each other, or you've looked on each other's Instagram, but it's not the same, I suppose, that physical contact. And I know people will get into sort of how people might be feeling and how they see it going. But Deb, start us off, and everyone can just jump in. It's one of those things, guys, in the comments, jump in. Tell me if it's something that you relate. Obviously, when it all kicked off, COVID, and we were, behind closed doors even, and it was stay at home. That was the message. How did you feel? Obviously, Everton was our last game all together, and that seems like, well, it's about 2 years. Seems about 2 years ago.
February 23rd. Yeah.
How was you feeling? When it all sort of was happening? What was your thoughts without football, basically?
I think, and I've said this a fair few times. I've said it on the BA pods. I've said it on Sunday socials. I've said it to anybody that would listen if the conversation came up. I didn't realise how much I needed football. I didn't realise how much football was a part of my life. And I probably became a bit blasé with going to games, to the point where almost, I could do with a weekend off, or actually, maybe I'll let someone take my ticket to Old Trafford. And then I got to a point of really regretting that and really hating that and missing out, and realising just how much I missed being at a game, being with people, and everything just stopped. We went, I think we were all at that Everton game on the 23rd of Feb last year. Bees, I seem to think that was around your birthday. So I remember that game. I remember really, really well. There were so many bits about it that stick in my head. And then to think we were going into an international break, so there wouldn't be anything for a while. Nat, the last game I did was with you. We did the Devs against City. And that was the Wednesday. And I think on the Monday or the following Monday, that was it. Everything stopped. And life just stopped. It was just another extension of life stopping. And yeah, it wasn't great. Really missed it. I guess for me, slightly difficult because I was also working in mental health in a COVID world. So I was having all of everybody else's stuff coming back at me. So I struggled a lot. I really struggled, and I realised how much I needed football.
No, 100% girls. I mean, just come in, jump in, and I got a little story as well, and just how much I missed it. Zoe, you sort of touched on at the start how much the group's helped you, and just talking to fans. So obviously it must have been tough when it was just bam, shut down, all called off, and the length of time that it's gone on for as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's just something that I just sort of started feeling like a part of the group, and like we're all friends, and in a lot of ways, like Deb said, I sort of took football for granted, and took the group for granted, that friendship, and we never necessarily knew when we were all going to see each other from game to game. Some people can't always go or whatever, but it was something that you knew that at a weekend you're probably going to go to a match, and you're probably going to see the same people, and you're going to have those conversations. And when we got together, it was just it was so easy and so natural, and like a bit like a family in a lot of ways, a community, and for it, to all just sort of disappear so suddenly, really, and like you say, that first sort of initial lockdown, it was 3 weeks. That's what we were told, and I thought it was great. 3 weeks off work, yeah, great, bring it on, and for it to go on so long, and it was frustrating, but it was quite stressful, and for me, I think then doing the watch alongs and things like that, the podcast as well, that came right at the right moment for me to stop me, sort of. I mean, I still missed it, obviously, but to stop, me really feeling sort of alone and apart from everybody. So yeah, it's definitely tough, and I'm really looking forward to actually seeing everybody in the flesh again. But that's going to be strange as well in itself. So
yeah, Karen's here, United, all for United, Buy Me Own podcast, such a support. Vicky saying connecting with people on Twitter, common interest, talking about it is a fantastic bit of escapism, and I'm the same as Deb a bit, and Chloe, if you want to jump in before me, I'm happy, but I'm the same as Deb a bit in that I got to a point where I thought, oh God, I can't be bothered. Not can't be bothered, but it became a chore. Not a chore, but you just thought, I've set this aside, and people are asking me, do I want to come out to this? And I'm telling them no, because I'm going to the football, and, it's a whole day. It's not just, it's at 12 o'clock. No, I know that I'll be there doing it the whole day. And, for whatever reason, you're there doing it the whole day. So you would like, oh, no, I can't. I'm doing this. And they were like, well, there's no point you coming out. When can I see you? When's the off season? He said. And then obviously this, like you said, 3-week break come, you thought, oh, well, maybe we could just not sneak out, but I could try and see you now, or I could try and do this. And then obviously 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months, you're thinking, no, this is taking the Michael now. What's going on? And even when it came back behind closed doors, I was happy. It's back. I was so happy for the girls. I think it probably was even worse for them in a way, because it is their life, that's their job. But I suppose a lot of people were on furlough as well. So a lot of people couldn't do their job that they probably did love, and they wanted to continue. But, it was hard for us all. And then I suppose when they came back, and I'm not a person who's ever really suffered with mental health. I'm a person who's sort of, usually if anyone sees me, like, Natalie, boom, but God, did it hit me? Did I realise, like, this is what it feels like to have mental, to have to go through something, to feel depressed, to feel low, to feel isolated, because it was everything for me. I've got friends outside of football, but it was still that drive, that passion in me wasn't being met. I think, Deborah probably knows something called the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and I think the connection, socialising, that's what makes me a person, really. And through this lockdown, through not having football, through not seeing and just chatting rubbish, because that's what we chat, rubbish. You know, on all these podcasts, I don't know anything. I'm not an expert on left-wing formation, double pivot. I can't tell you shit about shit, but I just know that I love it and I love you guys, and that's it. And through not having that connection, it's just really changed me as a person. Chloe, just tell us about sort of any stories or jump in, guys, as well.
I
on the
think
chat.
when we were all at the Everton game, I think we were all sad that it was international break. I mean, we've all made our voices known about international breaks, and we were just like, oh, here we go again. But then, did we ever imagine that 18 months down the line, we still wouldn't have seen a game? I think having international break was bad enough, and like Zoe said, we were with the intention. I don't think any of us knew it would be this long. I think we all thought, okay, yeah, it'll be a month, 2 months, yeah, we can cope with that. And 18 months down the line, it's crazy. And when you have the passion for football and for United, as we all do, it's hard for just that, because it's a ritual for us. Nat said it before, it's not just the 90 minutes on the pitch, it's the build up. You're planning, how you're going to get there, who you're going to see when you get there, the atmosphere, what you're going to do after. Do you stay? Do you celebrate? Do you meet up? Do you have a chat? All that has just stopped. And it stopped with, when it originally started, we had no end in sight as such. And that was hard because, okay, if you had an end date, you can work towards it. Okay, yeah, I'm going to see my mates in 2 months' time. We're going to be back in stadiums. Might be a little bit different, but we're back. And that started to take a toll, because that's like all of us, that's your weekends. You're working a week, your weekends are taken up by football. And for that to stop, you kind of sit there and you think, what else have I got? Because I don't know anything else, because my weekends are full of football. So that was hard to begin with, but to have the podcast, the watch alongs, were great, because you felt, even though it was through the computer screen, you still felt you were there. You still felt you were around everyone. You could build that kind of atmosphere. But it was hard for me when the games came back behind closed doors. It just still didn't feel football to me and right. I still couldn't get fully involved in it, because it's just not the same without the fans, without being there, building that atmosphere. It's just, until you're there, until you're part of it, it's hard to explain that buzz you get being in the stand and watching a game of football, because you're surrounded by hundreds, thousands of people that have everything in common with you. They're there for the same thing. They love of football, the love of United, and you just bounce off each other. So that's been hard for me to kind of miss in the 18 months. And like I say, time-wise, no one knew it was going to be that long. So that was hard. And I think Zoe said it before, going back into the stadiums, I can't wait. It's going to be a little different to begin with. I think we're all a little bit apprehensive, excited, but apprehensive of if they're going to be a new normal going back to into the stadiums. But I can't wait, and it needs to hurry up.
Yeah, 100%. Go on, Deb, I can see you. But this comment, though, I just want to say from Kartik, it's 100%, because I was like you. I had to still work. I wish I was furloughed. And that's what I said to my mum. I wish I was furloughed, because it was just like Monday to Friday, I'll be in my computer at my desk. Boom. And switch off my desk on a Friday. And I think, what now? What am I doing? And I live with 3 people, and I still felt like that.
But this comment, Nat, and actually it kind of ties in with something that I think you and I have talked about, and Anthony's further up the comments. Just as a quick aside, he asked me how the cricket was last night. Enjoyable apart from the results. But, and actually I'm kind of thinking about Anthony because of what I'm going to say here, so stick with me. But one of the things I realised about going to football was it was my release. And that's what we're talking about here, this distraction, that I could have all the stress of my work week, and then I was letting it out in the football. And I didn't realise I was doing that until I couldn't do that, because as great as the BA watch-alongs were, they were slightly sanitised. We sometimes had little children joining us, even though I think they know all the swear words, but it just didn't feel the same connection behind a screen, as you were saying, Chloe. So I think that, to be honest with you, not actually physically being at a game, I realised as well, allows me to get that stress, to get that frustration, to get everything that I've held on to in the working week out. And because, like, you know, you and me, Nat, we said we were working during this time, and it changed our working lives, and the nature of what we were dealing with became slightly more intense. And yet we had nothing to offload it with. So actually football was missed even more than normal. So I think what we also realise is that, yeah, it's great to have the watch-alongs, and I've really valued them, but nothing comes close to actually being there. And, you know, I mentioned Anthony because we know Anthony can get a little bit passionate at games. Now, no one can ever deny your passion at games. And in that moment, just to release it, you can't do it behind a screen. You've got to be there.
And I even watching the games that's just come out now, Liverpool. It wasn't the same. I was so buzzed, I was so hyped, but it still just wasn't that same. And I even remember like watching Mannion jump up with a player and push her up and just barge off the ball, and they were gonna go. But listen, and I was like, go on, that's my girl. And I'm still shouting it the same way I would if I was thinking. I was like, that's my girl. And you just know as well, if they're hearing it, that's spurring them on. And, you know, and like I said, I was living with 3 people, and I was shouting and telling them, like, who are you talking to? Who are you actually talking to? There's a picture of me. I don't know if it went viral, but I was standing right up against the telly like that. And they were like, what do you think you're going to, what are you, that's what they said to me. What are you achieving by standing so close? It's like my mother. And I said, leave me alone. Yeah, because they weren't my mother. And I felt like that child again, because it's been snatched from me, and it's taken it's the soul of me. And when something like that goes, I suppose that's what mental health is, isn't it? That's what feeling depressed is, because it's I've said to people, I felt half of myself, because that was my, like you said, that release, that thing, that's who I am in a way. That the passion is who I am as a person. And then when I couldn't get it going, I didn't feel like I was alive. I was a person. You know what I mean? It sounds so. This is what mental health is. Is you're saying these things, but that's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about, you know, feeling low and all that, and it should be normalized. And without it, that's what I felt. I can see Rain in here. He's dropped a few comments. Fan channels, sense of community. That's what it is. It's that community. It's those people. It's a sense of belonging, I suppose. And girls jump in at any time. You know, Chloe, Zoe, do you guys think that, you know, like you said, a sense of community? He doesn't really have a lot of. His dad doesn't like Man United. His brother, a Liverpool fan. But I suppose channels, watch-alongs, sports clubs give you that like community, like he says, but community is belonging in a way. Go on, Zoe.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, as Deb said, it's not the same when, I really enjoyed the watch-alongs that I did. At the same time, I didn't feel like I could necessarily be completely myself, whereas when I'm at the ground, I am. And, you know, often Shane will give me a look when I'm yelling at the ref, because people expect me to be kind of quiet, and refs really get under my skin, and I'm not so quiet at the ground. But on a watch along, I don't necessarily feel like I can be as vocal or you know, feel it the same in a lot of ways. But at the same time, if I watch a game on my own, and football is a big escape for me. If I watch a game alone and we lose, it puts me in an even worse mood. And maybe I'm just, I don't know, a spoiled brat, but it does. It puts me in an even worse mood. if I go to a game and I watch it with all you and we lose, yeah, we're all sad, but we're all sort of sad together, and it doesn't affect me the same way as watching it alone and us lose. You know, it's the same result. It's the same players that I care about. You know, I care for the fact that they're upset because they've lost. But if I'm watching it with a community where we're all sort of together, I don't know. It doesn't feel as bad as if I'm just sat there watching my favorite team, who is supposed to be providing me with an escape, lose. So I think, you know, those watch-alongs and that community that we have, it is really important to all of us, and it's just having, you know, for me, I lost my job during lockdown, and found a new one, but I'm working from home, and that's going to be my life now. You know, working from home. And what that means is I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I forgot to do something. Like, I'm in my office all the time. So for me, it's great to like now here I'm with you guys, and I get to put all that behind me whilst I'm with my community, kind of thing. When we go to games, I'll be getting back out there, and I won't have to think about that stuff. Work and things like that, because I'll be with you guys enjoying a game and having that community, like you say. And you know, we all come from different backgrounds. I mean, I come from a massive Manchester United family, but I do know there are a lot of people out there that don't have this that they can share with their families. And so I think for those people especially, what has been created with the Manchester United Women's Supporters Club is, it's so invaluable. As friends, it works for different people in different ways, but for me, yeah, it's that friendship, it's that community, it's that trusting group that I can sort of unwind with and just enjoy that common ground with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Deb, Chloe, did anyone feel the same about losing? I know I did. I hated it when we lost. I hate it when we lose anyway. But I hated it when we lost and I was on my own.
Yeah, absolute nightmare. And I'm. It's funny. I was speaking to my mum about this the other day, and we still laugh now. When I was playing, I hate losing, and in my playing days, I was a nightmare. She'd drive me up, down the country, wherever to games, and I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't speak because I hate losing, and we'd have the car journey home would be just so quiet. But it's different when you go and watch it, and like Zoe said, when you're with people who love the game and feel the game the way you do, it kind of picks you up a little. And to have that at home, not have them people around you that understand it, like you're saying that before when you're shouting at the TV. I shout at the TV all the time here on my own, and people come in and like, what are you doing? I think, I've screamed many a times when we've scored goals to the point where neighbours have come out and like, what are you shouting at? Like, the passion doesn't go. It can't leave you, or else, like you say, you lose your identity. If you lose your passion, you lose your identity. But yeah, the feeling and the family of, and I think Zoe mentioned there, the word trust. You can reach out to anyone in this group if you need them and know that they've got your back any time of the day. If you need them, not even football related, because we've got that close-knit bond, everyone's there for each other. And I think especially during the 18 months that we've had, to have that build up and have that connection has been crucial for a lot of people.
No, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of people have started watching. This is their first season watching, and Vicky saying they're grateful to meet international friends, and I mean, it's a brilliant, nice to connect with local fans, but met some brilliant people. 100%. We know a lot of Norway and Indian and Indonesian and all that kind of thing, but this one would be nice to come to LSV. Wanted to come before lockdown, but always nervous about coming on her own. And now I feel like, well, Vicky won't mind me saying, but she's someone I spoke to. I know you spoke to her, Deb. No, Mark spoke to her, John, speak to her in different groups. And now I just feel like it'll just be bang normal for some people, even like Rain, I just hope I got it right. But watch along's not the same watching it. But hopefully, we'll see different people as well, because everyone feels connected through this that we've built. But like Deb, do you wanna bring up any point, or just like what Chloe said about the whole? You still shout at your screen. That passion is still there, and I suppose you can't get rid of it, can you?
I think
It's you.
When the Prem came back, not last season, the season before, obviously the women were finished. When the Prem came back, those games felt a bit empty. And, myself and Mark, we'd sit here trying to care and think, do we? And the moment United scored the first goal during that run and we both celebrated, we looked at each other and went, yeah, we do care. It just felt different. There was no atmosphere. And it felt hard not being there as well. But I guess the difference for me is that, it'd be nice to get behind the team in person. And I get the feeling the team are desperate for us to get behind them as well. And I think the fact we're playing on a Friday night, now I've spoken to you countless times about night matches. There's just a great atmosphere for night matches. And I just think, hopefully we don't have a repeat of certain behaviours when people got a bit too hyped before certain games. But I think people have got the opportunity to get themselves a bit excited before that match, and there's a lot of emotion that's going to come out of that first game. Different for us because obviously I'm here with Mark. So when we have lost a game, I think we've got through it okay because we've bounced off each other, or one of us said, right, come on, let's get on with it. So we've probably benefited from having that, but it's just been it's been the most bizarre experience, and I can only hope that we never have to go through anything like it again.
100%. And I think, listen, I'll hold my hands up now, guys. Everyone who's watching, 15 people, and give you a little story of what Deb was just saying. I was sick before City game, not because I was drinking, not because whatever. I was sick because it was the butterflies in my stomach, the nerves, the excitement, the buzz. And yeah, I might be sick again because it is going to be, this is what John's here said, what emotions you think you'll feel in it. And it's that, I can't even describe it. It's going to be that flood. It's going to be everything's going to come out of me, and it might be sick. That's it. And this is what I'm saying, but it shouldn't be thinking, because that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I don't know. It's like all me emotions that came out in sick, and literally came out. And listen, it's funny, and everyone can laugh at me. It's fine, but it's that emotion. And I mean, I know Deb's sort of saying she's been to little games. I'm not sure about anyone else, but I've been to a few games, not Man United, but I've been to a bit of Sheffield, bit of FC. It's good. It's good to be back. It's good to. Sheffield, I know a lot of people there, so it's good to see faces who I've not seen in 18 months and just say, how you doing? Oh my God, long time. People I'm speaking to every day on the WhatsApp or whatever, and I've actually saw them in person. Like, he'll go on and say on Twitter, oh, this and that. But, me and Rich, the last few games, we've been standing together as little buddies watching football, and it's just nice to suppose that person you're chatting to a lot, now you're back in person, now we're sort of back to normal. But no, guys, everyone everyone's putting in comments now, and I love it. What do you feel like emotions you're going to feel, Chloe? What do you think you're going to feel when we're all in, when it's singing, when it's rocking, when they're warming up, or when they just come out, or when the whistle blows? How even before that, because like you said, we've said it's a build-up of everything, isn't it? It's the whole plan for the whole day. And how do you think you're going to feel when that comes?
There's going to be a whole ton of emotions. I don't cry, but I can guarantee I probably will cry. Because it's been so long, and it's just going to be a different atmosphere that I've missed. And these sound so cliche and so cheesy, but they are your life. When you're that passionate about something and the team, they are your life. And the build up to the game is going to be buzzing. It's the only thing you can think about on game day. On that Friday night, I've got work, but my God, all day in work, I'm going to be thinking about the Friday night of getting to that stadium, getting in amongst you mad lot, and singing that first song. And oh my God, when that whistle goes, I don't know what my emotions will be. There probably will be tears. I probably will be hyper. I probably will be jumping over people, because if we score that goal, I'm sorry, I apologise now, but that is 18 months of built-up emotion going to be coming out on that game. And I can't wait. But yeah, it's going to be mixed emotions.
No, yeah, I mean, Zoe, see, laughing, and everyone's laughing at all these little comments that people are in. And listen, I don't care. I like you said, it's 18 months of emotion. That's what you're gonna see. And yeah, I'm gonna be all over the shop. It's gonna be emotional. I want to cry now thinking about it, but I'm so like I can't sit on my seat now thinking about it. It's just up and down. Emotions are high. Zoe, what do you think?
Well, my other big love besides football and United is country music. And I remember the first time I went to Nashville and to the Grand Ole Opry, and one of these legends of the genre came out on stage, and I knew I'd be excited. I knew I'd be happy, and I had a smile all the way through. And then she sang this song, and I burst into tears. I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't expect to do that myself. And you know, when you're crying and you're actually making an involuntary noise as you sob. That was me in the middle of this. You know, everyone was looking at me like, "What's wrong with her?" And it was just the sheer emotion of finally being there. I don't think I'll be quite as embarrassing, but I'm expecting tears because the emotion is just. It's just like you say, Chloe, it's built up over time, and I will just feel so overwhelmed. The fact that we're all together. I mean, there might be tears upon arrival, you know, like 2 hours before the game when we all see each other again. I don't know, but yeah, it's everything. It's not just a game of football. It never has been just a game of football, and so I think when they come out and when we're all together, there'll be tears. When they come out, there'll be tears. When they score a goal, when they win. You know, I think at various points, a range of us will be crying. So I can't wait. But I do think it's going to be an overwhelming night. And like you say, Debs, I'm pleased that it's a Friday night. I think, you know, I've got all day at work. I'll just be looking forward to that game and seeing everyone again.
Yeah, John's put a comment here as well, and I'm not sure you can touch on it, Deb. In terms of them, like we're all saying when they score, when they win, and we have all this, I suppose, expectations on them, but it's right and it's wrong, isn't it, in a way? Because obviously it's going to be an emotional time for them as well. And Deb, what do you think sort of the players are probably, I think like you said, they're probably desperate to have us back in. I think we all know that. Boy, it's going to be 18 months of emotions probably for them as well. And then that pressure of everyone's waiting for you to sort of take that feeling for them, you know? Do you get what I mean? Take that excitement.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to realise that I'm going to have to go and buy a shed load of tissues because everybody around me is going to be crying. So that's the first thing. And obviously, I'll be the calm one, as I always am. But you've also got to remember some of these players have never played with us in the crowd. Some of these players had nothing last season. I know there was one game. There was one game with fans away. Was it Brighton? I want to say.
Reading.
But with the exception of that, you've got a fair few in our squad, and there's more and more of them, obviously, because we've had a transfer window, and there may be extras that come in. So you've got people who've never played in front of United fans. So they're all going to be hearing from, well, we all assume it's Millie, and you know, she's hyping us all up. Yeah, Millie Turner. And they're hearing from Mill about, the fans are going to be like this, and maybe they've seen footage, and that documentary is still getting shown on MUTV. It was on earlier in the week. So they'll be aware of it. And we know that it's been said to the new boss about the fans. We know that conversation's happened. But yeah, they're going to be anxious. They're the professionals. In a way, yes, they've got a different challenge, but they've got a massive task on to keep their heads in the game. But in a way, you know, they've had a lot of changes as well. So this is just another change for them as professionals. New manager, new players, new noise. But yeah, let's not ignore the pressure for them. Hopefully, and this is something we've talked about now, hopefully they can see that as an added bonus rather than, oh God, I've got to perform in front of these guys. I'd like them to see that I'd like them to be able to enjoy it in the same way that I'd like it to get on the other team's back, kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I think that's what it is. I mean, anyone jump in now, like Man United fans, like these girls are probably used to sort of women's football fans, and Man United fans is a different kettle of fish. It's a different beast, I would say. You know, Vicky's saying I think a lot will thrive. I know that Manion sort of talked about when the fans come in, and they've all talked about Champions League, and I was pretty not surprised, but you know, I was surprised that they all sort of said it, because yeah, that is what they've come for. But you know, it is you're adding that pressure on yourself in a way by saying it, and you know, people are gonna be then expecting it, and you know, if you don't win to Reading, then people are going to say, well, you said we're going to be in the Champions League, and then Manion said, bring all your expectations. And I'm thinking, you know, this is then leading me onto a different point where I wanted to go. Sometimes you think, not fans, but just sometimes football, and I suppose it is fans, it can do another impact. We've all talked about it missing and being hard for people, but, you know, not the pressure, because I think pressure is good, but just sort of sometimes the social media, I think we've seen even with the Euros, Rashford, and how the abuse that they've got. And then, you know, even seeing with people saying, oh, it's a 5 out of 10 window. And, you know, I'm all for people saying what they want to say. But, you know, like Manion says, bring all your thing. People are writing her off before she's even kicked a ball for United. And it's, you know, I wasn't fully convinced, and I'll say, but I'll still give every player 110% of people that probably don't back some players in the squad now. And, you know, can you see that negative impact of football? And I've seen a tweet up, and I'm going to pull it back, and people are saying people thrive. We have a Millie Turner. Anyone jump in, like the impact of I suppose just being negative. And I mean, here's the tweet. The Athletic article made him feel toxic, portrayed a negative, blew things out. Now look at us, we're good, and negativity is swept away. You know, things like that. Anyone can touch it. Didn't even have to be on that, but just anyone. Zoe, go. I see you nodding.
Well, just something that you were saying there made me think of, firstly, about social media. And sometimes, you know, people say things on social media and it's construed in the wrong way. And it made me think of something I said on social media in the lead up to the Euros. And I wasn't happy with Gareth Southgate's team selection. And I made a joke about, oh, what other team can I support then? You know, because there was players I wanted to see play. But it was a joke, and a few people called me out on it, saying why wasn't I supporting my country and stuff like this. It was a joke, you know. But social media doesn't always come across in the right way, so you know, maybe I shouldn't have said it how I did, or whatever else. And I was supporting the country all the way through, and even in the final, I can't do penalty shootouts. And if any of our games this season go to penalty shootouts, I'll have to turn around, I think, and someone will have to tell me if we score. But you know, I was stood outside in the middle, you know, in the dark as those penalties were being taken, just praying that everyone sort of just did the best. Not that we won. And one thing that really upset me was when Marcus Rashford missed, and I heard my neighbours 2 doors down sat in the garden watching it, yelling racist abuse because Marcus Rashford had missed. And I knew instantly that he'd missed because of their reaction. And it really upset me to the point where I cried, not because England had lost or because Marcus had missed, but for him in terms of knowing that he was already getting that abuse shouted at the telly, and what would that turn into? And so sometimes I think football can be so cruel because all of that is still going on, and that, you know, there's a lot of fans still out there that we say that they're in the minority, and I think that they are, but their voices seem to shout the loudest in a lot of ways. And so I think for people trying to get involved in whether that's the women's game or the men's game or whatever else, there's been a lot of media about that negativity. And there should be, because people need to be called out on it. But at the same time, I think it can sort of scare fans into coming back. I think and you know, I feel like that. You know, I don't want to be surrounded by people like that. In the women's game, like I've said, our group, it's brilliant. I can't ever remember a negative moment being in the crowd at Lee. Maybe it's just because we are sort of in our own bubble and we're all, you know, and if anybody was to do anything that wasn't right, that, you know, we call each other out on it. I like to think we would anyway, but I do feel like there is still a huge problem to be tackled in football, and I think it does put off a lot of people. And you know, the good voices need to shout louder than those negative voices, and we need to, you know, bear in mind that it's not all good, and people aren't going to be looking forward to coming back to the game. Some people are going to want to watch the football, but are going to be very afraid for whatever reason, whether that is sort of the racism and the abuse that goes on, or whether that's even, you know, with COVID still being around, there will be people that are afraid. And I think everyone has to be mindful of that. And, you know, yeah, you do you, but also spare a thought for those around you and what they might be experiencing. And I think that's the main thing for me.
That is 100%, mate. Because, you know, what you said about people being scared and it is, people are scared. And I think as well, because of this, like I've got friends who would come, but she doesn't want to come because of barefaced racism, straight up. And, you know, my dad, he's a black man born here, but he said to me, he didn't want England to win. And, you know, I might be putting him on blast now, but I understood, because he didn't want, not that he doesn't like the players or doesn't like the manager or whatever, he just didn't want it to win because of the racism. And the racism's still there, that underbelly's still there, the way they were booing the knee before it even started. So that underbelly is still there. So he was upset, obviously, that the three boys missed. But at the same time, he was not waiting for them to lose, but he was sort of like, well, there you go. There you go. You're all out in the open now. And like you said, they were shouting racist abuse before you'd even seen it in miss. So it says it all for me. I knew it was going to come when thinking. And then some people were saying to me, let's wait and see for what, because I know that it was going to be racist. And you know, he's now, and now I've sort of turned into my dad. He was a massive Nottingham Forest fan, used to go and watch Nottingham Forest all the time. And then he went to uni, bumped into the EDL, stopped watching football, had 3 kids. I must have taken his passion. But I've turned it into him in that I just see a black player and I want a black player to do well. So whether that's a black player at Liverpool, so I was really upset when I read what Gini Wijnaldum said about, you know, the minute he said he was leaving, all the, you know, all the people who had him as his thing were calling him the N-word, you know, whether that's Gini Wijnaldum, whether that's a girl in Liverpool, whether that's a girl in Everton, I don't care. I just want, and people might say that's oh, you know, that's divisive. Me saying I want just the it's not just the black players, but I think it's so important the you know, the black players are represented, men and women's game. And I suppose I'd always champion them no matter what badge is on their chest, because, you know, you're just seeing how quickly it can change for all of them, you know, no matter what badge is on their chest. So, you know, that's where I suppose this lockdown has helped me sort of see more about it and about football. Went through not being there and not being as swept up in it all, being about, boom, we're all going together. It's helped me see a bit. I mean, anyone, Deborah, do you want to come in on what I've just said, I suppose, or what Zoe said? And
something Zoe said, actually, when she said football can be cruel, or people on social, people on Twitter. And I actually just think people are cruel. sometimes. It's that simple. And it's a conversation actually I was having today, that it feels to me that during COVID, so many people, because of the way life shifted, became really insular and became really selfish. Not everybody, clearly. And there are people who just want to be a mouth, a voice, an opinion, and they don't care about the impacts of that because they can only see as far as their own nose, kind of thing. And I think during COVID, because we've all been limited in what we can do, we've been on social media a lot more, and some people have realized that their voice can be heard more when actually their voice needs to be drowned out. It's just that we haven't had the distractions necessarily to drown those people out. During this week, there was, I think it was this week or the back end of last week on Talk Sport, there was an anti-Semitic comment made about Daniel Levy, and nobody seemed to respond to that. That went really under the radar. It took Talk Sport 3 days, I think, to respond and say, we are sorry that there was a comment about some form of discrimination. They never named it. They just said discrimination. Why is that still being tolerated? Nat, I know you will champion the black players. Absolutely right. But it's got to be across the board with everything, and it shouldn't be accepted. But I've just really noticed a lot of negativity in people and just lack of respect. I think it was Vicky who says about a lack of respect for people. Further back, actually, might have been Nat. But it's so true. We don't realise the impact we're having on people, and it's something that I've really lurched away from social media recently, because I don't want to be a voice. I don't want to just be an opinion. I want to make a difference. I want to do something. And I don't shout it from the rooftops. I don't tell everybody what I'm doing and what I'm involved in. Some of you guys know some of the meetings, some of you know the conversations. And it's because I don't just want to sit there and go, God, this is rubbish, this is awful. I want to do something about that. I don't believe in just pontificating. If you're going to do something, do something. So, but that's me. Other people, they think it makes them big. They think it makes them clever. And it's toxic. It's really toxic. And unfortunately, you've got the negativity in the social media world right now that's drowning out the good. And I can only hope that shifts. But I'd hate to be a player. I would hate to be a player because you are judged on your performance. And sport is a profession where it is pass or fail, succeed or fail, win or lose. I don't have days like that in work. I might have a good day. I might have a bad day, but no one's judging me. Whereas, these guys miss a penalty. That's it. They're terrible. Let's go and call them all the names under the sun. That's not the way life is. But sport is that must mess with their mental health in itself. That sense of I remember listening to a tennis player years ago saying, if she wins a match, she's a good person. If she loses, she's a bad person. How can that be? But that's what sports people deal with. And then they've got social media kicking in. It's really tough. And then you've got people who come away from it when actually we need to be drowning out. It's just going to take a while, I think, to shift that.
Yeah, and I think that's the negative side of COVID, is that everyone has been using social media, and I think that's where it's gone to. And like you say, I think it's what Zoe said before. It's the what's going to happen if something goes wrong. What comments are coming next, and what life is that? What life is that to know? Because everyone makes mistakes. If you don't, you're not human. Everyone, but why should you be called out for certain things like that? And I think it's easy nowadays, and the pressure that comes with social media, whether it's professional or non-professional, you've always got pressure. There's always, and social media is the biggest influence for that pressure. And there is no suggestion of why and coincidence that mental health is on the rise when you've got pressures 24/7 from negative social media. Don't get me wrong, social media used correctly is brilliant. It's helped us all throughout lockdown with the watch alongs, with these podcasts. Brilliant. But there's also times it can be very isolated, very alone when you have the pressures of social media to look at. When you, especially during COVID, when you've not got anything else to do, you're constantly on your phone flicking through, going, "Oh, what's you're comparing your life to other people's lives and thinking, well, actually, they look like they've got a great life. Mine's not like that." And it's constant. You're putting your own thoughts into your head, whereas actually that story they post on their little window for 10 seconds a day or 24 hours a day doesn't actually, might not represent what's happening behind the scenes, but we only seem to see the glamour of certain people's lives nowadays, and people look at that as pressure. And Deb's touched on it. To be an athlete nowadays, my God, if you miss a 5-yard pass, bang, someone somewhere around the world is going to slaughter you for it. And that's going to have effect on it. And, you know, if they're sat in the dressing room before kickoff going, right, can I go and enjoy this game of football? Or am I already thinking, if I make one cock up, it's gonna be worldwide within 5 seconds of me being off this pitch? And I think that's huge, and I think that's why we're seeing more and more mental health stories coming around. And I think it's definitely to talk about. I mean, look at the stories we've had during the Olympics with Simone. She put her mental health first over the Olympics. The amount of abuse she got for putting that first. Ben Stokes then does the same, and that's 5 seconds. 5 seconds before it's fish and chip paper the next day. It's there's no balance into it, and there's no wonder this society nowadays, we're living in an influential world, but behind a computer screen. And I think that's something needs to flip, or else it's going to get very dangerous and very disastrous.
I think the fact that we're coming out a lot more, when I say coming out, I mean opening up. This world is opening back up again, and I think that negative might get drowned out by the positive or by the thing. So, I mean, Zoe sort of touched on it before, and listen, guys, jump in. Everyone can jump in, comments, jump in. She posted something, and next minute she was torn to shreds over it. She's still an England fan. She just said, "Oh, ha ha, oh yeah, this, yeah that, oh this and that," and I just think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of reactionary. I'm a reactionary person. I say what I think straight away, but I don't try to go out there and say anything with malice. I say what I think, yeah, but it's always sort of said on, this is my opinion and this is sort of how it is, and sort of, I suppose, be constructive. This is what I think, but let's wait and see, and I suppose if more people did it like that, then it'd be better. Whereas, like you say, if you just know that, I think that's what's going to sort of help as well. The fact that fans are coming back in, because it'll be that kind of, if you miss that 5-yard pass, it won't matter because the fans will be cheering still. Not cheering for a 5-yard pass, but cheering for, like, come on, keep going, gearing up. I mean, I got a bit of stick for even going to a Sheffield game. And Sheffield is a team that have done well for me. They've always looked after me. I've got a signed shirt there. I've got a shirt in the wardrobe, and it's like, oh, you should be doing this. And it's like you said, people are just talking about the way that they see life, and sort of then putting all their expectations on you. And I'm no one. I'm no one in comparison to a footballer, but everyone seems to have opinions on everything. Like, people have opinions on like what you said, Zoe. People have opinions on the supporters club and how we should be doing things, but yet, loads of people are saying positive things, and it's always, I suppose, people looking like what Bede says and saying, always judging. It's just, I think the world has been so horrible. It's time to just think, right, we're coming back, we're opening up, we're reuniting with each other. But Deb, you touched on something, and you can touch on what I've said, but just about the anxiety of COVID and of coming back in that way. And we know there's going to be people that are like that. But I mean, do you have any anxieties like that? Do you know people who've got, or just touch on anything?
You know, I've spoken to a few people, certainly on the BA watch-alongs, and also then latterly the socials. They've got anxieties. I probably had anxieties around the beginning of opening up. But what I've tried to do, and Zoe knows this for a fact because she saw me at one of them, I've tried to get myself into sporting events just so that first game back, that first big game back, isn't so frightening. So I was fortunate enough to get a ticket for the Fulham game the back end of last season. I know it was only, I think, 10,000, but that was, it just meant so much. And I know the emotion I felt then. I've been to a CFC play. I've been to the cricket. Zoe's seen Zoe there. I was there again last night. And I'm going on Saturday. I'm going on Saturday to Old Trafford to a full crowd. And at the moment, I'm really aware that my excitement is slightly higher than my anxiety. But what will be strange is it's the first time for me that I'll have been sat surrounded by so many people for a very, very long time. So I'm not going to deny that there isn't some level of anxiety. It's just that excitement is taking it over. But I know there's going to be people. I know that there are people. I've spoken to some of them. They're anxious about going back to watch games, whether that's at Lee, whether that's at other grounds. And I know, Nat, you've been involved earlier on in terms of the supporters club, getting that dialogue happening with Lee, with United, so that we can present the concerns that people have got. And we've done that. We're waiting on feedback from it. So we do say, if anybody's got concerns, please let us know. Possibly things we've not thought of. Things like, how close are people going to be allowed to be to one another? Where are we going to be? Those are the kinds of, there's loads of other questions as well. But let us know. Let the supporters club know. If someone can stick the website on a comment, just so Nat can put it on, that'd be really useful. Otherwise, we'll tag it in later. But there are anxieties. We're not going to deny it. And I think that at the moment, we're all hyping it up, that excitement about let's get back. Actually, there's also going to be a little bit of anxiety. And I don't think we can ignore that anxiety because we've not seen this for 18 months. We've not seen games for so long. And as much as, it's going to be great to see people, I don't know if I can hug some of you guys. I don't know if I can throw my arms around some of you the way I want to, because I don't know if people want that. So it's about what we're comfortable with. It's about what other people are comfortable with. And Vicky, it takes getting used to being around people again. Absolutely. And we're probably all going to hesitate. I know my first move to people now is actually away rather than towards them. Thank you very much for putting that on. If anybody wants to just go on there, if they're not already a member, you can join. There's 2 different types of membership. Get on board. And also you can email us if there is anything that you're concerned about. I would advise you to do it pretty quickly if there is anything. Fist bumps, absolutely, John. That seems to be the way forward. Elbow touches were the thing. I think we've all gravitated to fist bumps now, but it's there.
There's a question that's come up, Deb. Does anyone know if there'll be a digital health pass thing?
I'm glad you've come back to that one. Really, really quickly. United announced yesterday that in line with Premier League mandate, they will be bringing it in at Old Trafford. Because it's a Premier League mandate, we're not aware of it being brought in at Lee. However, that is on the list of questions. Your best place to find out the answer as soon as possible is through the Supporters Club. It's on the top of, it's now jumped to the top of a list that was already quite lengthy, but we do need an answer on that. United have said, absolutely, we expect face coverings to still be worn. United have said the 1st of October, you've either got to show evidence of both jabs or a negative test, I think within 48 hours. But that's a Premier League rule. That's why it's been brought in at Old Trafford. We're waiting on clarification about Lee. Watch this space. In fact, Beads, next week, if you know anything, you and Mark on the BA pod, you can tell everybody. Hopefully you'll find that out soon. But really good point.
Right, guys, I'm going to be wrapping it up, but, watch back. But Zoe and Chloe and Deb again, if you want to sort of last topics on this, I really think, it's something that we can keep doing again. Definitely want to do one on racism. I've got a guest actually in mind for that, but watch this space with that one. Hopefully it gets talked about. But no, I'm here to do one about anti-Semitism. Sorry, I hope I said that right. Anti-Semitism, yeah. Homophobia, all that kind of thing, because these are things like, I think mental health does need to get talked about, but the negative underbelly of football then affects your mental health. So, with the Rashford abuse, with just all kinds of abuse, with that Spurs thing, with it just sort of being brushed off, I think, in football sometimes. And that's men's and women's. I think there's a sort of vibe that I sometimes feel in women's football, like, this is women's football, we don't have issues. And I think that doesn't help anyone sometimes, in my opinion. I think sort of sit there, we're trying to do that. Yeah, it's great that you're trying, but there's still issues are there, It's great that there's more visibility for gay and all these kind of players, but that doesn't mean that there's the visibility is there for, like, say, a black player or Asian players, and that's still where, say, the issues in women's football, in my opinion, and they still need to be talked about, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative thing, having chats about them, whereas sometimes I think I do find in women's football, you have a chat and say about, oh, there's a racism issue in women. Oh, no, let's not talk about that, let's bury that. No, let's talk about it, because the more you talk about things, the more you're going to see a change. But yeah, Zoe, just go for it. If you want to let people know or add any more final points.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing I'll say is that when I come on these podcasts, it's great for me and my mental health and my confidence. Sometimes I probably come across as a confident person. I do some radio stuff and things like that. But actually, with the COVID stuff, I'll look forward to those games. But at night, it'll keep me awake thinking, was I selfish to go to that game? What if I catch it and spread it to a vulnerable family member, even though everyone's vaccinated? I'll still have those anxieties, no matter how confident I appear to anybody else. That's things that I still get anxious about. I was always an anxious person in terms of, do I come across right to people? Am I friendly enough? Am I this? Am I that? And those anxieties are going to be even worse having not spoken to anybody properly in so long. And so just because some people come across as confident, we're not all confident. We're all having our own little worries. And I think if anybody is having any worries that knows me, that's going to be at a game, then you can always talk to me about those anxieties, and I know that I can talk to you guys about my anxieties. So for anyone that is worried about coming back to a game, there's loads of members of this support group, that supporters group, not a support group, but we are a support group in a lot of ways. So just reach out to any of us on Twitter. I really don't mind. So
fantastic. It's Chloe.
Yeah, I think Zoe's touched on it there. I think we've all got anxieties going back to the games, and everyone's facing their own little battles, whether that's around COVID or in everyday life, and we never know really what people are fully going to, and to the extent where sometimes it can be too late. And I think education and talking is massive, and I think podcasts on these topics, and like Zoe said, we're all here to open up to talk to. If anyone feels they need to, we're all there, and we support each other, and we'll go. We're not individuals, we're a team, and it's cliche, we support one team, but we are one team ourselves. And yeah, it's going to be great to get back and see everyone, but people will have their anxieties, and like you say, we're trying to get a grasp of how everyone's feeling. Deb said it there, people's initial reactions after 18 months, as mad as us lot are, we want to jump and hug each other, but some people might not want that. Some people might still have their concerns, and we've just got to kind of adapt to that situation. And and take it every game as it comes. But I think, like I say, as in the topic we've discussed, and mental health is a huge issue at the moment, and sadly it's getting more increased as the limelight changes and social media and the pressure, like I mentioned before, the pressures of social media. So I think if anyone is feeling, having feelings of anything that they want to talk about, reach out. It's important, and we'd rather spend hours speaking to you than having to sit and read your be at your funeral or anything like that. And that might sound a bit low and depressing, but it's a close topic to my heart. So I think people need to keep educating themselves on all different topics and speak out when they need to.
100%. Deb?
I think just echoing what everyone said, keep talking. We've always said the DMs are open, either individually or as a group. They're open. Keep talking.
Yeah, 100%. And, I know a few, but, put things out, and, I just wanted to do this just to, I don't know, just to talk, and it's always a topic you got to talk about, I suppose. So thanks everyone for tuning in. It's me and John tomorrow, back talking about, this was about football, but back about, contracts and football agents and that kind of thing. We got Reece Land on. That's going to be a really good show, so it'll be interesting to hear what he says. But thank you everyone for watching. Much love. Good night. God bless. Goodbye.